Much, Ellen. As I struggled with the talk that I'm about to give you, I had some themes in mind, and then I went and read the description of Jerry's talk on Thucydides tonight at 7:30 in room 101, and I decided the description said it all. So one version of this speech was I was going to tell you just to go to Jerry's lecture at 7:30, and then I would go out the right door here. I am still going to tell you to go to Jerry's lecture, but unfortunately I did succeed in producing a speech also. So go to Jerry's lecture. I have two other little stories to tell you. One is about Neil Klausner, and I can't resist. In my first year as president, I was in an office in what is the CDO building because we were going to rebuild what was the registrar's office on the first floor of Nolan House to be the president's office. And Neil came over to meet me, and he said, you know, let me tell you a very sad story about Nolan House. And I said, go ahead. He said, well, when my family and I came here in the 1940s, we were living on the first floor of the CDO building, and I came home one night and saw the college's construction crew had torn out all the oak woodwork on the first floor of Nolan House, and they had it in a truck, and they were taking it to the dump. So anyone who goes into Nolan House will notice there's oak woodwork all over the first floor of Nolan House, and that's in part because Neil called this to our attention. So we found an old picture of Nolan House and attempted, not exactly precisely, but pretty much to restore the oak woodwork to it. Now, my last story before I start talking, Elizabeth Dobbs will remember this. When I gave the Milton convocation, I thought, okay, you know, this is pretty risky. A law professor is going to talk about John Milton. And someone, it may have been Elizabeth, said to me just beforehand, you know, the only one who really might be, you know, deeply knowledgeable and might be a problem is Peter Conley, who was quite sick at the time. So I came in, you know, I had this thing that was very sweaty because I thought I'm talking about John Milton. I put it down and I look up, and the only person I can see in the audience is Peter Conley. And so I gave my convocation speech. So let me now start on today's talk. It's obviously an honor for me to be here this morning delivering what I believe will be my last convocation. Thinking about Robert Frost in relation to my time here, I can say I'm glad that I chose the path in the woods in 1998 that led me here. There were other paths, but I don't think that any of them would have been as enriching or interesting or bracing as this one has been. I will also say that I'm happy to be on a path to my home in Rockport, Massachusetts, and other activities. There is a lot that I will remember about Grinnell, including its academic seriousness, talking and swimming with Ken Christensen at 11 a.m., attending student activities including games, recitals, theater performances, and teaching, although I intend to continue that in the years to come, and in particular at Grinnell and London this fall. When I told my mother that I was retiring as president and that instead I would be teaching in London, my mother said, and I quote, "Oh, you poor dear." As I conceived this convocation, I thought it would be useful to talk about something related to Phi Beta Kappa, but also something that I care a lot about. So as a foreword to this, let me say that I am not speaking about the importance of the humanities to a liberal arts college because I'm worried about the extirpation of the humanities or because it is topical. I chose this topic because I care about it and wanted to say something in this final address that comes from me and is not tactical in some mundane political sense in the world of higher education or here at Grinnell. Because I wanted to speak about something I cared about and that came from me, I thought I should go back and reread Ralph Waldo Emerson's similar address at Cambridge on August 31st, 1837, entitled The American Scholar. Emerson's address, now that I have read it again, has in it a lot I do not like and do not agree with. He says the American people are too busy to give letters their time. He also says the nation is characterized by a sluggard intellect that is obsessively focused on professional or narrowly professional interests. As he goes on, it gets better. He suggests that each man or woman should be more than a lawyer or a professor or a mechanic, but rather a complete human being who should have broad interests, including perforce in letters, which I take to be broader than literature. People should be preeminently thinkers. Emerson suggests there are several major contributors to the substance of good thinking. Nature is one, the mind of the past, and action combined with abstract learning. He attacks mere bookishness. Finally, Emerson argues that the duty of the scholar is to cheer, to raise, and to guide others by showing them facts amid appearances. A scholar should not defer to the popular cry and should be characterized by self-trust. I agree with these. He should see the world through the world's pretension. Finally, he ends saying that Americans have listened too much and too long to the courtly muses of Europe, and they should find their own voice. Viewed in retrospect, Emerson's address strikes me as time-bound and perhaps parochial, but a useful thing to reread as I contemplated this talk. Emerson's speech is a critique of social narrowness and a call for American intellectualism. I have a different goal today, but I also will not defer to the popular cry. My goal is to make the argument for the great importance of the humanities, and specifically it is that the humanities are critical because they educate us by touching on, reflecting, and reminding us of the messiness, complexity, tragedy, and nobility of the human condition. And they do it in ways that do not cabin humanity into graphs, Venn diagrams, closed systems, and other academic structures. There are a number of good definitions of the humanities which resemble each other but are not identical. The Pocket Oxford English Dictionary defines them as subjects concerned with human culture, including language, literature, and history. Wikipedia states, with greater contemporary fullness, the humanities are academic disciplines which study the human condition using methods that are primarily analytic, critical, or speculative, as distinguished from the mainly empirical approaches of the natural and social sciences. The humanities include, according to Wikipedia, the classics, languages, literatures, philosophy, religion, the visual arts, history generally, and I am delighted to note even includes law. Here at Grinnell, unlike at most places, the visual arts are included in our humanities division, but history is not. As I hinted earlier, there is a sense afloat of beleaguerment among those who care about the humanities. We are shrinking. We are not favored. We are losing majors. What data there are suggests that it is true that the number of undergraduates majoring in the humanities has decreased absolutely and as a percentage in the last few decades. The data also shows, however, continuing high enrollments in the humanities courses. Part of this beleaguerment is also derived from occasional complaints from parents and students that humanities degrees do not lead directly to jobs or occupations or interviews. In our current economic environment, this could be said of engineering and many other courses as well. There have been a number of serious efforts to respond to this angst among the humanities. I'm going to summarize them succinctly as follows. 1, the humanities teach us about aesthetic, which is critical to human functioning. 2, the humanities focus on the literary and cultural treasures of the world and are therefore worth studying. 3, the humanities and their study are broadening and lifting one from one's own cultural context. And 4, the humanities teach us to appreciate beauty for its own sake. Some of these defenses appear not so closely related to philosophy and religion and some other core humanities as others. I do not reject the reason for the study of the humanities that I have just recited, but think there are additional ones that are powerful and that also support the notion that the humanities are important and central to a liberal arts education and to this college, and even more important, to a good life beyond college.